We'll commence with James Johnson.
Thank you, Anne. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us on a Friday evening before we go into a short Christmas break. We're here, of course, in relation to the shocking incident that occurred last Saturday night at the Melbourne Derby. As we promised to you when we spoke to you on Sunday, we've moved swiftly, decisively, and we have issued strong sanctions in relation to a certain group of individuals. What we ask you to do as we go through this process is see these sanctions as a package of sanctions. Earlier this week, of course, we banned 10 individuals ranging from 5 years to life from all football-related activity, and we'll continue to work through individual cases as we work with the Victorian Police to identify the individuals that invaded the match last Saturday night. Earlier this week, we also issued Melbourne Victory a show cause letter, and that's what we wanted to talk to you today. Now, before discussing these first sanctions in the Melbourne Victory case, I do want to thank the Victorian Police. I'd like to thank the Australian Professional Leagues. I'd like to thank Melbourne Victory and also Melbourne City for their collaboration and cooperation in which has been a heavy week for Australian football. I'd also like to thank the A-League fans and the broader Australian football community who've really called out this unacceptable behaviour of certain individuals that invaded the pitch last Saturday night. What we can say is that we will, Football Australia, ensure that we continue to work on behalf of the Australian football community to ensure that we're specific around these sanctions and that the broader game, the broader community, the broader A-League fans are ring-fenced from the actions that a small and certain group of individuals took last week. As for today's sanctions, I want to be clear that these are immediate sanctions. They are not final sanctions for Melbourne Victory. I want to be clear that this does not close the show cause process that has been open. The outcome of the show cause process will be communicated in another week or so. What I'm about to talk to you about are immediate sanctions, and these immediate sanctions are designed with, in particular, Melbourne Victory's next match in mind, which takes place on Boxing Day against Western United. I want to talk a little bit about the objectives of these sanctions, because it's important you understand how we got to this decision. The first objective is to deter the unacceptable behaviour from occurring again. That's the first objective. The second objective is to give the Australian community and the football community confidence in attending football matches, in particular, the upcoming A-League matches against Western United and between Melbourne Victory and Western United. And the third objective is to be specific and targeted so that the football community and the A-League fans in large, and the many, many, many good Melbourne Victory fans, are not painted with the same brush as those that entered and invaded the pitch on Saturday night. We felt that we needed to issue these immediate sanctions ahead of the match on the 26th because we wanted to reduce any risks of issues at this match. And I'm going to talk you through what these immediate sanctions are, and I do want to talk about them in three separate categories. They relate to Melbourne Victory home matches that would be played during the period of today and up until Sunday, the 15th of January. They relate to Melbourne Victory away matches that would be played in Victoria from today until Sunday, the 15th of January. And the third category is they would relate to Melbourne Victory matches that are played from today until the 15th of January that are played outside of Victoria. And I'm going to run through the immediate sanctions in each of those categories. For Melbourne Victory home matches during the period of today until the 15th of January, the sanctions are as follows. No tickets are sold in respect to home matches. Only valid club members can attend home matches. There will be refunds of any tickets that are not valid club members, and where any ticket operator charges related to refunds are borne by Melbourne Victory FC. Home and away active bays will be closed and therefore will be closed off, and tarps will be applied to at least the first 4 rows of seating behind the goal line at each end of the venue. And an agreed number of supporter marshals will be positioned in the venue. And finally, supporters of Melbourne Victory must not be found to have engaged in any form of behaviour in breach of the Code of Conduct while attending the relevant match. They are the sanctions in relation to Melbourne Victory home matches for the period of today until the 15th of January. The second category are Melbourne Victory away matches that are played in Victoria for the same period. The first sanction is that only members of the home team and supporters of the home team who were in receipt of a ticket when ticket sales ceased at 11 a.m. on Friday, 23 December, will be permitted to enter the venue. The away active bays will be closed, and the Australian Professional Leagues will ensure the away active bays are closed off and tarps are applied to sections of the venue allocated to away active supporters. An agreed number of supporter marshals will be positioned in the venue. The home team will be allowed to issue up to 1,000 complimentary tickets to a list of individuals pre-approved by Football Australia. The APL will work with the home team to refund any tickets that are not valid members of the home team, where any ticket operator charges related to the refunds are borne by Melbourne Victory FC. And finally, supporters of Melbourne Victory must not be found to have engaged in any behaviour in breach of the Code of Conduct while attending the relevant match. The third category, which is other Melbourne Victory away matches outside of Victoria during the period before the show cause is determined, and I'll talk through those sanctions for those matches. First, the away active bays will be closed, and the APL will ensure the away active bays are closed off and tarps will be applied to sections of the venue allocated to away active supporters. Only members and supporters of the home team will be permitted to enter the venue. Melbourne Victory must use its best endeavours to discourage the attendance of all supporters of the club, including messaging that the venue will be restricted to supporters of the home team only. The APL will work with the home team to refund any tickets which are associated with a Victorian postcode or to any person that they reasonably believe is a supporter of Melbourne Victory, where any ticket operator charges related to the refunds are borne by Melbourne Victory. An agreed number of supporter marshals will be positioned in the venue. And finally, supporters of Melbourne Victory for these games must not be found to have engaged in any behaviour in breach of the Code of Conduct while attending the relevant match. So just to summarise and to be clear, those sanctions are the immediate sanctions on Melbourne Victory. They are not the final sanctions of the show cause process, and these immediate sanctions will be in place from today until Sunday, the 15th of January. I will stop there. Thank you, Anne.
Thank you, James. We'll go straight to questions and we'll start with Roy Ward.
G'day, James. Roy Ward from The Age here, mate. To
Right.
start with, do you know if the Victory could cop further financial penalties or have to pay some money to clubs like Western United, who have what it looks like lost some support, several thousand possible supporters, ticket sales from this game on Boxing Day?
Yes, there will be a focus in the show cause process, which is ongoing, and which we envision completing in the next 1 to 2 weeks. And in that short show cause process, there will be financial and sporting sanctions that will be considered. And as part of that consideration on the financial sanctions, any loss to other clubs as a result of Melbourne Victory's supporters invaded the pitch will be considered.
Thanks very much, Roy. We'll go to George Clark from AAP.
Thanks, Anne. Hey, James. I was just wondering if you could explain one thing for me. You're talking in relation to Victory home games. You say that only valid members can attend. They obviously play the Raw on January the 6th. So if I'm a member, I can attend. Is that correct?
If you're a member of Melbourne Victory, yes, you can attend. That's correct.
Okay, so have you suspended Victory from selling memberships? Because in theory, all the people could turn up with the same intentions as Saturday, buy a membership and attend the Raw game. Have you paused them selling memberships?
At the moment, the focus is I might just explain the rationale behind why only members are able to attend. And the rationale is we need to ensure the safety of those that are in the stadiums. And through membership, we know who the individuals are. We know what seat they are in. We know where they live, and we know their postcode. So that is the objective, and that is the sanction that we've got in place.
So there isn't anything to stop me potentially buying a membership and going along?
I'm going to ask Mel Mellum, who's General Counsel here, to answer this question because it's specific. Mel, are you there?
Thanks, James.
Yes, I'm here, James. Thank you, everyone. The answer to that is no. At this place, there is not anything in place to stop new memberships being purchased. But as James said, the intention is that we know who is sitting in what seat and their identity and where they live. So we believe that this sanction goes far enough.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mel.
Thank you. Next up is Marco Monteverde.
Sorry,
Hi,
James. Sorry, I was just on mute. So, James, in terms of following January 15 with the ongoing sanctions that may come about, what are we talking for the rest of the season then, or long term further? How sort of how far are we talking about?
Well, at the moment, yeah, thanks for the question, Marco. At the moment, these initial and immediate sanctions are only in place until the 15th of January.
Yeah.
I don't want to speculate yet on what the final outcome of the show cause process will be, but I can say that there will be a consideration around a mixture of both financial and sporting measures that would be in addition to these immediate sanctions that would come into force in the next 1 to 2 weeks as we conclude that process.
Thanks.
Thank you. We have 5 minutes left on this media opportunity. If you'd like to ask a question, please use the raise your hand function. Roy Ward.
James, should Victory members be expecting or anticipating that after January 15, they may not be able to attend some games, or will further punishments not include like a total lockout of fans? Will the paid members still have a chance to attend?
Look, Roy, first point I'd like to say is I want to be careful not to speculate on the outcome of the show cause process, but I can talk to our thinking, and our thinking is there are many good Melbourne Victory fans. Many are our families and children and parents who just want to go to a football match with their family and enjoy a game. We're trying to be very specific and targeted around these sanctions, and we're trying to take the focus of the many good fans and target the fans or those individuals, I should say, who invaded the pitch. So that's why we've introduced these immediate sanctions, because we don't want to sanction or punish, if you like, those who really have nothing to do with this. And that's the large majority of the Melbourne Victory fans.
Thank you, Roy. Do we have any other questions from the floor?
Yeah, and I can't raise my hand, but I'll just jump in here. JJ, can I just ask for clarity again? Away games played in Victoria, so looking at the Boxing Day game at Western United, no Victory fans whatsoever. Have I read that right? Have I understood you correctly?
That's correct.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, George. Are there any other questions? Cameron.
Hi, James. Just did we come close to at any stage potentially having games fully behind closed doors and not having any fans in?
Yeah, look, there has been there was some consideration around that point, Cameron. You know, do we do a blanket ban? Our line of thinking, again, is there are many good fans, and there are some people that we want to weed out of the sport. So we've put together a package of sanctions. We've already banned for life 2 individuals that invaded the pitch. We've banned for between 5 and 20 years a further 8 individuals, and we'll continue to work with Victorian Police to weed out those individuals that are seeking to spoil this great period of Australian football for the rest of the Australian football community. And that also extends to the many good fans of Melbourne Victory. So we did feel that if we had a blanket ban, not only would we be specifically targeting those individuals whose behaviour is unacceptable, but we would also be targeting the many families in particular who are very good fans and who we welcome to football and we want to continue as supporters of football. And that's why we landed on the sanction that we did. And I would ask you to really look at it, because they're very heavy sanctions. And I would go as far as saying that if you combine the individual bans together with these sanctions, together with what is coming in the next couple of weeks, I don't think there'll be many sanctions that have been applied at this level of strength in the history of the code.
Thanks, James.
Got time for one final question before we conclude this media opportunity. Okay, there are no final questions. Thank you everyone for joining us, and thank you, James Johnson, as well.
Thank you all, and have a Merry Christmas.
Thanks, James. Merry Christmas.